Bengals with a huge win over the Rams on Monday night. We'll talk about that coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace and Zim.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals and for Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still gonna give you the same AJ.
I'm gonna work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I gotta get your top 5 receivers.
Better, man.
It was good. Watch out for us.
Welcome, world, to the Wincinnati podcast. Your Cincinnati Bengals are coming off of a huge dub. Welcome to the show. If you're new here, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Make sure that you share this podcast with all of your Bengals conglomerate. Zim, how you doing, fam, after that W last night off of Monday Night Football? It's Victory Tuesday.
I feel great, man. I just been, we like when we win, I'm gonna let you know about it. So for me, I just been cooking. So there's so much to unpackage from this game. I had a really good day. Everything's going well. I feel like we all got a relish in some of these moments. A dear friend of mine, one of her friends, her brother passed, and was a big Bengals fan. And I always tell people, like, I get it. We like to critique our team, different things like that, but we got to relish in these moments. There's a lot of people counting on us to kind of uplift them for all that 90s stuff that went down when I was, like a baby. So I didn't live all of that. So I just always, either, whether it's football or it's life, I just want people to make sure that you count your blessings and make sure that you relish in those dubs. If you get a dub, you better let yourself know. If you don't let anybody else know, like, hey, we got that one. So I feel good.
For sure. Well, definitely prayers out to the fam for sure. Sorry for their loss. We definitely gonna send condolences from the Wincinnati podcast crew. So hope that they feel a lot better. But coming up on today's show, we're gonna run through the game with the Rams. The Bengals got a win over them, 19-16. We'll be able to break that down for you guys. And then we're gonna talk about Dax Hill. A lot of safety talk. Dax Hill had an amazing game last night, unless you're looking at PFF scores. But we'll get into Dax's amazing performance. And then, of course, we got to talk about Monday night. We got to talk about the energy. Got to talk about the Bengals Ring of Honor. So we're going to get into all of those topics coming up next. All right, of course, we got to kick it off with the W. The Bengals defeat the Rams 19-16 on Monday Night Football to get their very first win of the season. This was one that was somewhat, everybody was on their heels going up until the final maybe 10, 15 minutes before the game to see if Joe Burrow was going to be active. There was a lot of controversy. He ends up getting out there, but the environment, Zim, you gave me a call before the game, and you were like, bro, are you seeing the environment? We're seeing people come out. A lot of former Bengals. Marvin Lewis was there. Chad was obviously being honored, and Boomer. But you also saw guys like Willie Anderson, TJ Houshmandzadeh, a couple friends from the show pulling up. And then you just saw like how lit it was. But getting into the actual game, what were some of your thoughts just on the game itself?
I was now you're saying just pregame or like atmosphere wise, or the game itself, like just
the actual game
football?
is the actual football. Yeah.
So actual football, I'm very pleased to get a win. Of course, there's so much more to be desired. You look at like this offense and you say, man, you got all these weapons. You're watching all these teams or whatever. So like I can't hide that. But I will say this: that defense was humming. I talked about it last week, how I was so disappointed that the defense didn't stop the run. I thought they gave up big plays. They gave up a couple here and there, whatever, yesterday. But we're talking about the second best offense, averaging 319 yards throwing in the National Football League, coming in number one before the Dolphins had the 70-point game, right? But one of the hottest. They had little Pikachu, who everybody was telling us was better than Jamar Chase. They had all these different things going on for him, and I just thought the defense just came with it. I don't care who Trey Hendrickson was going up against. Bro had like 10 pressures, 2 sacks, 1 sack nullified from a penalty. Dax Hill looks like the fastest defender that the Bengals have ever had. The pass rush finally woke up, and maybe it was just us waiting for the Bengals to get a lead.
Right.
Miles Murphy even got a half sack. There's so much good to take away from last night on the defensive end of the ball, of the spectrum. I thought that Burrow on the offensive side or whatever, I just thought that Burrow was just put in a rough spot. We're going to talk about maybe he passed way too much 31 dropbacks. A lot of that were RPOs where he had the option to hand that ball off and he chose to throw it. So a lot of people saying, bro, how could you put him in that spot? Burrow checked into a lot of those throws. I thought he made the right decision. The zip on the ball wasn't quite there. You take away the T. Higgins drops, bro almost threw for 300 yards. Like, you take away like any of the plays. He missed a couple. I was mad he missed the Jamar one. But overall, I just can't. I think the rest of the show, I'll probably be talking about defense. Not because I'm running away from the misfortunes of the offense, but the defense plays so good. I cannot say it enough because I was really hard on them last week. I got to come back and show them love.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that when you look at the defense, the star of the night, I mean, you can name 2, Logan Wilson. You could name Trey Hendrickson. But the defensive line, we kind of were critical. A lot of people were critical about them last week after having a good first week, right? And then we expected them to do their thing against the Ravens, especially after seeing what the Texans did to that Ravens offensive line, and we didn't see it. But yesterday we saw it, like you said, when it comes to B.J. Hill, when it comes to Sam Hubbard, like everybody on that line ate, and it started with Trey Hendrickson. Guys were able to do their thing. Dax Hill that was a Dax Hill game too. I think if you're talking about the third person that had a huge impact on that game, I think Dax Hill was one of them. This defense just kind of had a huge showing in terms of this game and in terms of doing what they do. There was just an explosion of turnovers, explosion of plays. You talk about Mike Hilton getting out there to tip the ball to Logan Wilson. You talk about all of these things happening and this defense just playing as one unit. They forced the 3 and outs. They forced the bend but don't break. They held them to field goals. They got the turnovers. What else? I don't know what else they could have done. So it was dope to see them have the offenses back because, yes, the offense didn't get off to a fast start, but this was a game where you had to be cautious with Joe Burrow and make sure that, with him nursing the calf, that you didn't do anything to aggravate it, which obviously they were able to get out of this game with it. The one thing on the offensive side is we were waiting for Jamar Chase to have that breakout game, right? We were waiting for him to get out there. And at first, they were trying to get the chase and then they couldn't get him going. And then the next thing, he was just getting target after target after target. And he ends up having his breakout game of 12 catches for 141 yards. Obviously, T. Higgins had a little bit of a rough night. That would probably be a little bit of an understatement. I'm confident, though, that he's going to bounce back in the next game. I just think it was a situation where things just weren't going his way. You look at the penalty where he gets called for pushing off, which could have possibly set the team up for a touchdown and stuff like that. And then you talk about the Tyler Boyd. He had a couple of plays, but then he also had the situation where the defensive player is able to one-hand it up out of his hands. But I thought that on the drive where Zac emphasized Jamar Chase as the centerpiece, moving him in the slot, moving him into the backfield, I thought that was something that kind of showed us what this offense can do. And I think, like you said, if those drops are actually makes, the offense looks completely better. So for you on the offensive side, what are you thinking about from the offensive performance for the Bengals last night?
I thought a lot of people were very critical on Zac Taylor not being able to scheme Jamar Chase up. I'm not hearing enough people, even though I know, given the situation, you probably don't want to see, Burrow dropping back 50 times, which is insane. But a lot of people alluded to this thing. And when I went on the internet today, I saw a lot of complaining, of course. Like it is, I don't know, but which I don't really like that, especially right after a win. That's just me personally. But one of the main things is everybody saying we need to do pre-motion stuff. We need to get Jamar Chase all over the field. They did that. They gave you exactly what you wanted or whatever. And I just think that because the margin of victory wasn't big enough or something, I don't know if anybody feels a certain type of win. But I'm from the old school where a dub is a dub. I thought at the end of the game, it kind of frustrated me that it was 5 minutes left. They ran 3 straight consecutive runs thinking like they're going to run off the clock. I'm like, that's only going to take a minute off if you're not, if you're not getting first downs. And Aaron Donald like wrecks the game. So then now the stat metrics people are like, well, Joe Mixon wasn't really that effective in the fourth. I'm like, bro, they had those stupid runs up into them 3 stupid runs at the end for negative yards or whatever. He had an average of 4.6 yards a carry. Like he was running pretty efficient throughout the whole entire game. And the part that I didn't like the most was it gave the Rams back the ball, and It gave them a chance to go get the garbage time touchdown. You take away the T. Higgins drops, the false starts, and all the different blown misassignments or whatever early in this game. Literally, Joe Burrow would have thrown for 300 yards on 50 attempts. I don't know if that's even that impressive, but he's hurt. He's not 100%. One of the things that I really value about Joe Burrow's game that I think a lot of people aren't hip to is his ability to go all script and throw off platform. That is a major part of the reason why I feel like Joe Burrow at times is the best quarterback in the NFL. You can argue with me about championships and all that stuff, and cool, that's a great argument. Dan Marino is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football, doesn't have a championship. So I'm just talking from a real football perspective. His IQ is on point. One of the things I wanted to see is him move around and do his thing, but he's not there yet, right, in this season. And giving those different things that are kind of holding them back, they still managed to get the ball to Jamar Chase. They still managed to get Tyler Boyd had 9 targets, I believe. T. Higgins had like 8-9 targets. He just had a couple drops in there or whatever. So it was some stuff. They took some shots later on. How about T. Huddy? T. Huddy's looking like a huge. T. Huddy's a guy that looks like even if Herb comes back and feels great, he's a guy you feel confident can come back into that receiving role and make some things. Drew Sample, who I'm not the biggest fan of, 2 consecutive weeks, probably the biggest blocks. He sprung the block last week for the 15-yard carry out to the left. He sprung the Joe Mixon touchdown last night as well, too. So there's a lot of different things. Oh, how could I forget this? The offensive line. Jonah Williams, no pressures, no sacks on the right side. On the left side, Orlando gave up a couple hits I've seen, and like maybe I think it said 2 pressures. Some stat books have them at 4. But I thought overall unnoticed. I didn't notice any edge pressure whatsoever. It was just Aaron Donald. And I'm not like, I'll just give it to Aaron Donald. It's Aaron Donald. No, I block Aaron Donald and try. I thought Volson was getting handled by him. But, I mean, a lot of people do it. It's Aaron Donald. So, you know what I mean? Like, I thought the offensive line is in a spot that is so much better than anything that I've seen in nearly a decade, currently as we speak. They're in the top 10 in the NFL and the least amount of sacks given up in the NFL currently, I think, at 5?
Yep, 5. So they're 8th right now. 8th fewest in the NFL.
So, I mean, I get it. Burrow's getting the ball out quick. Burrow's always going to get the ball out quick. Part of his game is like, and you don't have a chance to defend it. When he does go all script, you don't have a chance to stick with Jamar Chase. You don't have it, so you got to – it's going to be a little bit in its growing pains, and it's just growth within the season. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on week 4 of the NFL, and we got so many more weeks to go. Everybody was pointing to me about all these other teams doing this and doing that. Those same teams did a lot of that last year, and they didn't even, they didn't do anything when it came time for the playoffs. So consistency, efficiency, less variability in some of these plays that are going on. And I'm happy, and I think moving forward was straight. And more importantly, the defense stepped up where I feel really confident that the Bengals don't have to score 30 points just to win a game.
Yeah, I think the offensive line, like you said, you got to give Jonah Williams the credit that he deserves. This is what we want to see from Jonah Williams, right? Not giving up any kind of key sack or anything in the key time. He was able to hold his end of the bargain. Cordell Volson, if I'm being fair, I think that might have been one of the worst Cordell Volson games we've ever seen. But to your point, it is Aaron Donald. So, I think that they were able to do enough to keep the guys off of Joe. 5 sacks through 3 games. Like they had like 15 through 2 last season. So seeing them do that was definitely good. I think another thing
would
that
you
I
bring
would
LC
say,
back?
yeah, I probably wouldn't at this point. I would love to. I don't think it's happening. I think
What
LC
about
was
would
gonna
you
go
do?
to
Would
another
you
team.
bring him back to play left guard?
I don't think. I think they said he's already got plenty of offers, so I don't think he would
I
come
feel
back.
like the
to play
agent
left
just
guard.
did that just to go and get people off, like just to make people feel like I don't know.
I would say the running game. I thought that they would run more. Like I thought Mixon really looked good. I think one of the underrated plays was Mixon on that 4th down, going and getting hit at the line, but then making sure that he was able to get to the left for the 1st down. Joe Burrow throwing 52 times, like on 52 dropbacks, is a little crazy. Like I don't know if we want to. Like I know that the calf looked good last night. I don't know if we want to push it that far, but obviously the game flow dictates it. And like you said, maybe Joe checked out into some of those throws. Maybe he was feeling it, but the calf didn't get hurt. The offense was able to pull out the win, so they did what they needed to. And what I feel was like an under the radar must win game.
If Zach doesn't run in that spot, will he ever be able to run consistently with the football?
I think he proved it in 2021, but it was under Joe Burrow coming off of the knee injury. But you would think with the calf, he would hold it the same way. I don't know, bro, because this Titans game coming up, they're good against the run. So I don't know if this is going to be the game where it's like give Mixon the ball.
It's time to throw it again. It's time to throw it, bro. And look, I'm not trying to get a recap of what happened in the playoffs. I swear,
Right.
like that game, I can brag about it like to people, but I never want to see Joe Burrow get hit like that ever again. They were calling him 50 Cent after that. They were like, bro got shot 9 times and he still lived. You feel me? So like I never want that again. And personally, I don't like that matchup right now, but I think it's a very winnable game because offensively with their new coordinator, I just think that it'll give Joe Burrow the opportunity to not go crazy, just be efficient, play something very similar to what he did. If they can make less mistakes, I think that puts 27 points on the board. Like that's really that's the top of the league. And I think I hurt Joe Burrow doing that is very encouraging to me.
For sure. In terms of the biggest issue holding the offense back, it's always weird with the Bengals offense because I feel like it's always different. Last season it was the offensive line wasn't up to par the last 2 years, so they had to get rid of the ball fast. Now you're dealing with Joe's calf. Now you're kind of dealing with the too high shell like you did last year. I thought that they did a great job of being more aggressive, of actually taking those shots against the too high shell, because Jamar Chase has this amazing route where he's able to catch it on the sideline in between that safety end and the corner that's basically covering the top of that. I thought that they were really good at that. I think that's been one of the issues, not being aggressive with attacking the too high shell. Like, yes, they can throw it out there, but at the end of the day, you got to make the defense be honest. You can't let them know that if you throw too high shell out, that they're just not going to throw anything deep. I think like we kind of talked about before, making sure Jamar Chase is moving around. Like when you look at that route tree that Ryan had up earlier and you look at the route tree from the week before, it's night and day. And that's what they have to be. And it has to, in my opinion, run through Uno. Like we know the Burrow to Chase is the connection that really breathes life into this offense, and it needs to exist for them to have success on offense. And then, of course, we need consistency from the players as well. We got to get, more catches in and more things going. Good run plays, good run blocking. But I think the issue is, like Zach said in his conference, maybe they can start off with a better script. And I think if they do that, they'll be fine. I don't think that we're going to have too many issues like we've seen in the past at the beginning of the seasons. We've always seemed to hit our stride. And I think that this offense will hit its stride once it gets consistent. Zim, what do you think is the biggest issue holding back the offense?
Joe Burrow's cast.
Yeah.
Like if his cat wasn't there, like I'd be talking greasy right now, like straight up. Like I hate the fact that Browns game, I was watching that whole game and I was just like, if anything that anybody's talking about pulling them, whatever, I'm telling you, like that game was a very uncomfortable game for me to watch, just watching every snap of Joe Burrow. Like I was just like, bro, like he looks very, very hurt. Like he looked hurt.
Right.
I thought like in the Ravens game, I thought in the second half he was like, okay, that's the Joe I know. Okay, I like that. It just was they didn't have enough possessions. I thought to really, really maximize that. I thought Monday night they were moving the ball throughout the whole night, and I thought it wasn't, like what if you're playing that way, it's tough because it has to be mistake free. You can't have any false starts. In a wide receiver being all sides or a false start or whatever is insane to me. Because
Right.
I mean, I played corner. I've done a little wide receiver, but the last thing I'm listening to is a snap count. When the ball moves, I'm moving. Or if at the very least the guy to the right of me or the left of me, I see him move shit. I'm like, it's free reign. I'm going too. You know what I mean? So I just can't. I can't get over that. Like, what makes somebody jump at that point? I don't know. But you can't play. You have to play mistake-free football if you're going to dink and dunk. The bigger issue, somebody said this in the comments too, is they have to attack the seams. I think T. Huddy can give them a little bit of that. I think Irv has to go and stretch the seams, and even if it's like an out route that he did the week before, we didn't get 2 feet down. I think they come back to that and try to hammer that pass down. I thought Burrow had some shots to take some pocket shots, but I thought he was trying to manage the game to play a mistake-free for the most part because he's able to identify when the defense is cooking. Then generally he does this thing where he does that. Now he does have some balls that I'm pretty sure that he threw that he wish he had back. I want to give you a stat. The Bengals passes over 15 yards are 2 for 20 for the whole entire season. That is disgusting.
Yeah, that's a little nasty.
So it's one of those things, man. It's tough. I think most of the time, in 2021, where they were throwing deeper, it would just be Joe Burrow kind of improvising, giving Jamar Chase some more time to break away, kind of backyard football. And you watch Mahomes do this every week. I'm so sick of everybody glorifying Andy Reid to this crazy level. I do think he represents one of the greatest offensive minds in football. But there are times where they just go off script. Even after the game Mahomes had last week, he said, yeah, I mean, Kelsey just does what he wants, and then I just go find him. And part of that is that's what happens when you have talent levels. And 2021, I just thought that's what they did. They just took over with that sometimes. When the pass wasn't there, they would improvise. Joe Burrow would move around and throw. So that's something later on. I'm still waiting for them to pull out that ace in their back pocket, so to speak. No pun intended, but that ace of spades to just say, going under center, run the football out of there, right? Play. When he gets back to that, I just think if they did that later in the season, it would throw so many teams through a loop because you got to think most defenses are looking at this team through a lens of 8 to 10 weeks. You get into those later months, December starts to get cold. They just start lining it up and under center, not even I formation, but just under center and just running plays out of it. It would throw everything from a loop because from a safety standpoint, you're not able to see all the action. So you got to get closer to the box. And once you get closer to the box, I get the one-on-ones on the outside and then the wide receivers cook.
For sure. Well, speaking of wide receivers cooking, if you are watching right now live on the Wincinnati YouTube channel, you will notice that me and Zim are both wearing Chad Ochocinco Johnson jerseys. And of course, it was a special night other than the Bengals getting that win. Boomer and Ocho were able to rule the jungle in the Ring of Honor last night in terms of them getting the accolades and the respect that they deserve, man. It was dope seeing them. We talked about it earlier. Chad pulling up in the Uno throwback with the leaping tiger. That's how you doing it, Chad. To Willie putting the jacket on Ocho. I mean, Ocho has meant so much for this franchise, and so is Boomer. Boomer represents a time period where the Bengals were super successful, went to Super Bowls, won the MVP. So you got a lot of offense. This, to me, is what the Bengals have been through generations. It's been offense. It's been a quarterback. It's been a wide receiver. So to see these guys go in together was amazing. It was an amazing night. Wish that I was there. The environment was fire. It was a big reunion. And I feel like when the Bengals signed A.J. McCarron and Tyler Boyd was I thought I saw a ghost, that just foreshadowed kind of the reunion of this thing that happened with the Ring of Honor. Seeing all of those Bengals come back seeing these guys have the stripes on the inside, seeing Ocho with his fam, seeing T.O. pop up, like, bro, it was lit. There's no way that we could have lost this game the way that this has happened. And one of the biggest things is we've always been about creating that culture. One of the biggest episodes me and you had where we debated with each other was we talked about establishing that culture, right? Because I wanted to keep Geno Atkins and guys that were clearly over the hill because I wanted to establish the culture. The Bengals have culture now. It's been established with this Ring of Honor. It's been established through past players that have made their mark on this Bengals franchise. And it was just dope to see, bro. I wish, like I said, that I could have been there to experience something like that and to see the guys that we grew up on getting the respect that they deserve. I can't think of two better guys other than Boomer and Ocho to go in. Zim, what were your thoughts about the Ring of Honor last night?
I thought it was amazing, man. I wish I could have been there too. Like Chad coming out there in the all white, like the Leaping Tiger chase is just. I sat there and I thought to myself, why didn't I think of that? Look at that young man. Like he made himself look like 10 years old. I'm like, bro, suit him up. Like even Chase seen him, boys seen him. He was on the field. They were like, God, where you get all that drip from? Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, that's what I do this for, bro. Like, come on, bro. Yeah. Who's saying that, bro? Like, look at that. Like, I don't know. Like,
then with the off-white pants, yeah, that's
bro,
nasty.
I came into this Bengal stuff thinking like, you know, when we had these jerseys, I thought we had the best jerseys. When we switched and then we got the alternatives and we got the all whites and stuff, I'm just like, bro, we going crazy. Even last night, just whatever. Then Chad steps it up and I'm like, bro, nobody got jerseys messing with the Bengals, bro. And the way that he pulled that off, like, bro, I told Ryan this before the show. I said, if you didn't know no better, where was he going to? Was he going to the club? Was he going to a function at the house? It don't matter, bro. When you got that Bengals drip on, like it's whatever. And I just feel like he just walked out there, he swagged it out, and I was like, yeah, that's why I receive at university. Y'all better understand where we get this from. Coming out there with T.O., it's T.O. show out here. You know what I mean? Like coming out there with the guys, and I'm just like, bro, that's why we do this for real. And that's the other part about like the whole we're winning and stuff. Some of my favorite teams didn't win. So, you know, like when we win, I'm very excited about it. And because I feel like we got to represent for like, you know, guys like Ocho, like these young kids think that this dude is like some social media dude. Ocho gave the league 6 to 8 years of like phenomenal top end football, one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver for like about 2 seasons in there in the NFL. And we've done this consistently over and over. And to watch him get honored like that, coming out there like that, I said, man, I'm very proud to be a Bengal. And they got the dub for him, so that was even better.
Yeah, it was an amazing night. Congratulations once again to those guys. Gary Owen was in the building. Dre Kirkpatrick was in the building as well.
Shout out to Gary. Gary came to DC last week. Gary got me in the show. He had at an improv. When I tell you, I hadn't seen Gary in a while. Gary Owen, you are the man. This lady heckled him at the beginning of the show. I kid you not. The funniest thing I've ever seen. He cooked this lady for an hour and a half, bro. And it was the most phenomenal organic cook fest I've ever seen. It was like every joke he had, he just like, yeah, back to you, booing. You know what I mean? Like it was just like if Gary Owen is in your city, please go see him. He's one of the best stand-ups ever, and he's the biggest Bengal fan that I know too. So shout out to Gary. Like that's my guy.
Facts for sure. Talking about a short week now in Burrow's calf and his recovery. Obviously, he said last night that he thinks that it's going to get stronger week to week. The funniest thing about this, bro, is I realized that I had the same exact like injury for sure, and like I wasn't aware until I saw like the name of the muscle because I always used to forget it because it's that gastro muscle and stuff like that. But it kind of made me feel like I could see why people are saying it's going to get better because when you go through the rehab process, like they're constantly working on things like your feet, like anything that's connected to the calf to help you get it stronger. So they're going to be stretching it. They're going to be making it stronger. So I can see it getting better from week to week. I'm not really worried. I felt like last week was soon. Like now we're talking about potentially being, 2 weeks removed from the re-aggravation. I don't think that is going to be a deal, bro. Like
we got a short week. We got a short week, Ace.
It's a short week, but I still like his chances, bro. I felt like last week was a short week. Like he didn't practice until when? Like Thursday?
He probably was doing like walkthrough stuff before
Thursday,
that, like hardcore practicing. He did the limited Thursday. He did the full on Friday, Saturday.
Right. And so he just pulled, like, I feel like he has enough time for that. I feel like he has enough time to do the same kind of thing. I think the way that they managed it was smart, like seeing him go on the sideline and get treatment with the thing that helped with his blood circulation and everything. I think that they're doing it now. I did see, I don't know how true it is. There was, I don't know if it was Mahomes' trainer or something like that, trying to allegedly say that both of his legs were hurt. Like it wasn't.
I responded to that. I responded. I was like, "What you mean, bro? Did it with no legs?" like somebody else was like, "Yeah, bro, that was just like his sock pattern, and he had another little thing." And Mahomes' trainer was very emphatic about, "No, I'm telling you, it's hurt on the other one." So, yeah, my quarterback did it with no legs. Your quarterback did it with one leg. My quarterback did it with no legs, bro.
For sure. So, yeah, I think we don't have much to worry about for sure with the recovery. I think it's going to get stronger week by week. I think he makes it to the bye week. I'm not going to say we're going to see 100% Joe, but I feel like it's going to be like 95% Joe if we can get to that bye week, get him that rest, and then come out and have to play the Niners. But speaking of the next 3 games, a lot of them are winnable. We talk about at the Titans, at the Cardinals, and home for the Seahawks. I feel like these games are in reach, bro. Like this is the run right here that gets the Bengals possibly back into first place in the division. I mean, the way that these things, if you look around the division, you got the Ravens playing the Browns this week.
Perfect.
Then they have to play the Steelers. So
who you want to win that game?
I mean, whoever has to fall out of first place, like whichever way it stacks week to week, because right now they're currently all tied. So obviously we want one of them to fall and we want to get that dub so we can move up. So whoever, because I feel like it was just the Ravens, now it's the Steelers, or it was the Browns at first, then it was the Ravens, then it's the Steelers. I mean, until we're back on top, whoever needs to lose can lose for me. As long as we get in our dubs, I don't even care who wins between them as long as we're getting that number 1 spot back in the North.
Right. Yeah. Nah, I was going this might be a little nasty.
Go ahead.
I kind of want the Browns to pack them up. Like just because I think right now is a vulnerable spot for them. Their fan base for the most part is like kind of front runner-ish or whatever, where the Browns going to just be like crazy no matter what. Like if they lose 10 games, they're going to come back and tell you that they're going to beat the Bengals by 40. Like that's what happens when you lose for your whole entire life, I guess. The Ravens, I just feel like if they were to lose after all season where they told you that they were going to have this high-powered offense and all that, it would hurt their feelings. Lamar already after that game, like I don't know if you saw him late in that game, he was pissed, like slamming the ground, all that stuff. He goes to Twitter. He's going back and forth with people saying, why you fumble the ball and stuff. It will put them in a vulnerable spot. They're super emotional, bro. Like, I really feel like you do that, and then you start thinking about the injuries and all that stuff that they got. I really, really think that it would, like, hurt them and damage them moving forward.
For sure. I think it definitely would. I mean, a lot of people are overlooking that, too. He could have had a fumble in our game, if not negated for a penalty, which is ironic that they had their game negated by a penalty. But he's had ball issues in terms of ball security. I don't think the Browns are the team that you want to play with that kind of situation, but we'll see. But as far as what's in front of us, the Titans.
Browns defense is humming, ain't it?
It is. It is for sure. That Titans game, I feel like we can do work in Tennessee. I heard that we travel well in Tennessee. I heard there's a lot of Bengals fans in Tennessee. They're kind of reeling right now as a team. So the Bengals could potentially, deal them a big blow. The Cardinals, though, got the upset win over the Dallas Cowboys. The Cardinals game is now more interesting. I honestly thought when I first looked at it, I'm not even going to lie to you, I was like, that's a dub. They're in tank mode. They're going for Caleb Williams. They don't want to mess up the tank. Well, they messed up the tank this weekend, beating the Dallas Cowboys. So I think that's an interesting game. The home for the Seahawks is really intriguing as well because I feel like that's the best team out of these three that I see in this stretch. Are there any thoughts that you have on any three of these games that you want to talk about before the Bengals go to the bye week?
We should win all those games. I felt no different about before the schedule was released. Right. The average fan, I'm thinking, is probably thinking maybe you lose 1 or 2 games by that point. We've lost 2 already. I really feel like all 3 games are winnable. It's not a disrespect to any of these clubs. I think they're all good, and they have abilities that, like the Titans, I look at their defensive front, and I say that's not what I really want to see. Jeff Simmons going up against Volson. I look at, the Cardinals, Dobbs is playing pretty good. The people, they finally got his jersey in the pro shop. The people are pretty hyped. They're buying Dobbs' jersey. I think Lou Dini going to put something on him. I think it's going to be a little different when you play the Bengals. That's just me. The Seahawks pose a lot of problems because a lot of that creativity that we were talking about that we wanted to see from Lou Anarumo and company, or just Lou Anarumo, is that, the Lou father. The Seahawks, we wanted to see creativity from them and they've been doing that. And that's the things that people wanted Zac Taylor to do. And I thought Seahawks had a bad week 1, but they rebounded after that. And I thought that that's a team, I don't know, like our secondary has really been stepping up. But that is a team that I thought before the schedule came out, that was I don't know if it was a hot take. I thought if it was going to be an L, I thought it would be them and then beating the 49ers, probably in contrast to most people, what people were thinking, I think, when the schedule was released. I think we're capable of beating both. I thought the Rams did a lot of stuff to the 49ers in that game that I saw that I feel like the Bengals can do and take advantage of them being ultra aggressive, particularly at the linebacker position. You do that with Uno, and then he fake on the inside option route, running out the slot, and I get him matched up with, I don't care if it's Warner, it's Jamar Chase, T. Higgins and company. So I like all 3 matchups. I see the good, the bad on both sides. You're fully capable of doing it, and wouldn't that be something to turn this whole season around? You get to the bye. By the time we come out of there, I'm expecting to see Shiesty running, bro. Like that's like a month away. What's the date? Hold on, what's the date on the 49ers game? Does anybody know?
Not sure. If you guys do know, if you're listening, please be sure to put that in the comments. I want to shout out, speaking of the comments, Jerry. Somebody mentioned that you need to run into the Lou father more often. Shout out to Jerry. Ended up rocking my T-shirt, the Lou father, and bumping into Lou. So that was dope to hear that he liked the shirt. And then for them to go on that night to have the crazy performance, yeah, Jerry, I think you need to bump into Lou more often because that was insane.
October 29th. That's over a month from now. I just think that Joe Burrow getting into repetition treatment, going rep a month from now, barring no, re-aggravation, football guys, show us some love. Show my boy Nine some love. We could come back a month from now and be talking about how Shiesty can get Shiesty. We just got to weather the storm, just like my fantasy football team. I got a lot of injuries. I'm waiting for Cup to come off IR. I got some stuff going on. I'm weathering the storm. I'm 2-1. I'm a little bit better than the Bengals right now, but I just got to weather the storm, get my full team back, and I feel confident.
No, for sure. I'm sure once you get that full team back, you will cook. And speaking of cooking, we are going to throw it to our friends at Midwest Best Barbecue. Ace and Zim will keep us up on that Bengals news. And when they get it hit, Midwest Rescue is the move. On our way to make it through the grid. Keep up wings, it's so smooth that you need 50. Ace and Zim will keep us up on that Bengals news. And when they get it hit, Midwest Rescue is the move. On our way to make it through the grid. Keep up wings, it's so smooth that you need 50. Ace and Zim will keep us Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. You can get all types of barbecue there. They just had the ribs back as well. From what I hear, they are amazing. All the sides are amazing. Everything is amazing at Midwest Best Barbecue. If you guys are ever in town and you're wondering where you need to get something to eat, definitely stop in at Midwest Best Barbecue. Let them know Ace and Zim sent you. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. The food is amazing. You might want to actually move in and live there after you have some of that food there. But shout out to them. But let's get into the victory ball last night. I mean, I kind of gave mine earlier, so I'm going to say I'm giving it to Logan Wilson, bro. 2 interceptions in the game is insane. Okay. The most interceptions, like basically second most in the league since he entered the league. I believe it's about 9 interceptions.
Yep.
Dude went crazy.
Shaquille Barrett's got like 10, I think.
I hear all of this Roquan Smith stuff. Never seen Roquan Smith do that. Never seen it, bro. And for them to talk about he's on another level, I'm not seeing it, bro. Like Logan Wilson is a top 5 linebacker. You heard it here first. Woo! He's a top 5 linebacker in the NFL. That is the way that he plays. I'm tired of dancing around it. It is what it is. Logan, you heard it here first. If this take blows up in my face, I don't care. The way this dude is playing the last couple of years, the plays that he makes and the moments in the game that he makes them, second to none.
I'm going to say Logan Wilson is a fringe top 10 linebacker, which is really phenomenal because there's about, 60-something starting linebackers in the NFL or something.
Yeah, when I say that, I mean off-ball linebacker. I don't mean the guys that rush the passer and all of that.
Yeah, I'm saying off-ball though still. Like I think he's phenomenal. I think Pratt about like 10 to me, them two like neck and neck. Logan Wilson has an amazing nose for the football. I ain't taking nothing away from him. I feel like bro is like he would have been the Super Bowl MVP had had that game gone our way. Had he broke up that pass, we'd be talking about Logan Wilson as like, one of the greatest Bengals linebackers of all time just off that, So my game ball, though, I want to give it to the whole defense, but I'm not on this one. I'm going to give it to Trey Hendrickson. I feel like I was really tough on the defense last week because I need them in this period to be able to step up, and they can't be giving up anything because I can't count on the offense to go and do it. And the Bengals, a lot of this time, they don't get credit for their defensive efforts in these defenses, particularly in the playoffs. And I think like my expectation level for the defense is much higher than the average football fan. I think, like, I'll put this out there. I think the Bengals, when they're playing at their best, they are like a top 5 defense in the NFL. I really, truly believe that. The thing is, part of it is just them stopping the run. When they stop the run or they get a lead, Trey Hendrickson is a nightmare. Trey Hendrickson, I don't care if it's against a backup or whatever. Bro, he literally had 3 sacks. They took 1 away. He had a couple of other ones where I just thought, like, even the interception, that's like pretty much in my mind, like, it's Trey Hendrickson on one of them. Like, Trey Hendrickson, he saw the matchup. It's what would Myles Garrett do? What would TJ Watt do? What would Micah Parsons do if they got faced with the same circumstances? What would Aaron Donald do if he goes against? They make those plays going against lesser talent, and they make it so that they disrupt and wreck a game. Stafford went a whole quarter where I don't even know if he actually even completed a pass or something. They went 1 for 11 on 3rd down, and it could have been 0 for 10 had they not had the garbage time drive at the end. Trey Hendrickson wrecked every single 3rd down. Trey Hendrickson made his presence felt on every Stafford drop back, and that's exactly what I count on from Trey Hendrickson. I'm so glad that the ops don't pay attention, that this dude is signed all the way to 2025, and he is a menace. 36% pass rush win rate, pressure rate last night, unstoppable. Dude, he is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL when he's on. If the Bengals can give him a lead, he can cook.
Sure, for sure. Speaking of cooking, there's going to be a lot of cooking going on in Tennessee, and you can go to fansofcincy.com now to book your trip. You can get to Tennessee This is going to be crucial. These guys take care of your airfare, your ticket, all of that. And if you already have that travel plan, they also have tailgate tickets available now. Do that because it's going to come with an open bar, all you can drink, food buffet, live DJ. It's going to be local food being catered there and all kind of good stuff. So definitely be sure to check it out. I've been to, and Zim has been to a couple of their events. The food has always been good. The drinks have been good. And it's definitely something that you should look into. Go to fansofcincy.com to book that trip. It's not too late. Book that tailgate for Tennessee because it'll be here before you know it. And if you haven't booked your trip, they'll take care of that. They'll set you up with a hotel, travel to the game, the whole nine. Check them out at fansofcincy.com. So, Zim, do you have any final thoughts for the Bengals? You guys know that we come here every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 Eastern time. But do you have any final thoughts, bro?
Just keep on rocking in the free world. You know, I love what I saw on a lot of different things, a lot of different fronts in the game last night. I thought that they played good enough to win and get the win. I'm going to be able to run some plays, be able to evaluate some stuff. I'll probably put some stuff on it tonight. I want to go back. I haven't really had a chance to go back and rewatch it other than the condensed version of the game just this morning. Just so happy, so proud of the defense. You got to let the defense get some love. We talk about the offense so much as fans because, you know, it's 2023 and people want to put up points, but the defense got to get their kudos. So proud of them. Them boys was balling out of their minds. And that's a game that could snowball on a lot of teams. The Rams could have put up like 30. All the red zone trips. Come on, man. Like that's championship level football. And that's what I'm looking for. People say they wanted to see championship level offense from the Bengals. Maybe not quite there, but that's championship level defense. That's the defense that wins championships right there that you saw last night.
For sure. So shout out to the defense. Shout out to Chad and Boomer for sure. If you are looking for any of the Lou Father merch, it is at newstripecity.com. Hopefully we can get Lou one of those. Also, Zim, let them know where they can get the Fear of the Planet Orange merch as well.
Zimhude.com. I'm gonna be dropping a Fear of an Orange Planet like part 2. I'm gonna be dropping that later on this week too, so be on the lookout for that. Got some great feedback on the first one where the aliens are attacking, orange attacks, and we are currently going we're attacking right now. Let's go get them. Let's go win.
For sure. So check that out at zimhude.com. Make sure that you follow the pod on Twitter at Wincinnati Pod. Follow me on Twitter at New
and Instagram. City. Instagram got and the Wincinnati Pod too.
Yep, as well. Follow Zim at Zimhude. And make sure that you guys keep rocking with us. Well, we're out. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you Thursday.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace and Zim.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. Dan Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still going to give you the same AJ.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I got to get your top 5 receivers.